my hands are in concrete right next to Leo's in Hollywood, right in front of Guitar Center.
Is the Showman amplifier named after your performing style?
Yes, the Showman. He used to call me a showman because I used to stand up on top of my speakers that we created and rock them back and forth and almost fall. Or I would do all kinds of stunts, leap off the stage, slide on my knees, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And he goes, "You're such a showman. You're such a showman." And so he called it the Showman amp. But in those days, the output transformer was only like 10, 15 to 20 watts. And your power comes from the output transformer. So I would blow up every one of his transformers. I would smoke his speakers. They'd catch on fire because when you're pushing amperage and it's not working right, it will melt the wires connecting into the speaker. And lots of times it will cause the speaker to catch fire. In fact, when I was in London playing at the Royal Albert Hall where the Queen goes, I was flown over there by John Peel. He was like the Einstein of disc jockeys. The speakers were smoke. I was smoking their speakers. My bass player says, "Tick, tick. The speakers are smoking. They're smoking." I go, "Shut up. Keep playing."
How did you first meet Leo Fender?
My dad and I came to California in 1954, and I needed a guitar. And I got one out of a hawk shop in Los Angeles, and I was strumming it when I was playing country music. And then when I got down to the Rendezvous Ballroom area, I heard about a man called Leo Fender, and I went up to him with my dad, and I said, "My name's Dick Dale." I said, "I'm a surfer, and I got no money. Could you help me with a guitar?" And he took a liking to me, and he had, because I like boats, and he loves boats, and that was his life. And we really got together like that, and he was like Einstein. And he said, "Here, try this guitar." And I picked up the guitar, the Stratocaster, and tell me what you think. And I immediately held it upside down because I was always strumming with my beat from Gene Krupa with my left hand. I was always beating, giving the downbeats to it. And so when I bought my first ukulele, and there was a story behind that because I was reading a Superman magazine, and it said, "Sell so many jars of Noxzema skin cream, and we'll send you this green ukulele with a cowboy on it rearing his horse with a lariat."
Nice.
And so I went out at night every night and sold jars and jars of Noxzema skin cream, and they finally sent me an ukulele after a couple of months, and the pegs would fall out and everything. I got so disheartened I smashed it in a garbage can. Made out of pressed cardboard or something. So I got my little Red Ryder wagon and put a whole bunch of Pepsi bottles in it, and I got $6. And I went down to the music store, and I bought my first plastic ukulele, cream and brown bottom. And I held it upside down backwards and couldn't understand why my fingers wouldn't go where they're supposed to go. And the book just said, "Put your fingers here and there," and every night I'd stretch them and stretch them. So I learned to play upside down backwards, and when I got my first guitar, my flat top, I said, "My God, it's got 6 strings. What am I going to do?" And the guy that had it, that was selling it, said, "Just play the ukulele chords and just muffle the other 2 strings so nobody will know the difference." And so I used to sing all my country songs, my Hank Williams songs, strumming along, and everybody thought I was a guitar player. And and then later on, when I met Leo, he was trying to figure out why I blew up over 50 of his amplifiers. And so finally, Freddie Tavalis was from Hawaii. He played the Hawaiian steel guitar, and he was the man who perfected Leo Fender's Telecaster. And then he continued to work with Leo as his right-hand man. And so we ended up like being the 3 Musketeers because it was Leo, myself, and Freddie. And so what happened was Freddie took him into the Rendezvous Ballroom. At that time, we had built up to 4,000 people a night. And what happened was he brought Leo in there, and Leo standing in the middle of them. And what was happening was the small little amplifiers with the output transformers were fine if there was only 50 people. But the minute it started getting into the hundreds and into the thousands, their bodies would soak up the sound, the bass sound, the fat sound. And I wanted my guitar to sound like Gene Krupa's drums. And what happened was Leo said, now I know what Dick's trying to tell me, back to the drawing board. And he created the first 85-watt output transformer, peaking 100 watts. And we had to find a speaker that could handle it. Because at that time, we only had like 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, and some 12-inch speakers. And I would fry them so fast, it was ridiculous. So we ended up going to a company called JBL Lansing. There was the Lansing brothers. They got in a fight, and one became Altic Lansing, and the other one became JBL Lansing. Well, Leo said, we want a 15-inch speaker in this aluminum broad cage for it to sit in. And we want about a 12-pound magnet on the back. And I wanted an aluminum dust cover in the front so I could hear the click of the pick. They thought we were nuts. They said, what are you going to do, put it on a tugboat? and Leo just looked at him very quietly, and he just said, well, gentlemen, if you want my business, make it. And that's the way he spoke. And they made it. It was called the 15-inch D130 JBL Lansing. Now, we took that speaker and we built a cabinet, 3 feet high, 2 feet wide, 12 inches deep. We packed it full of fiberglass. We didn't put any sound holes in it. We wanted the sound to push back and forth on the speaker. And that became the Showman amplifier. Well, when I plugged into that with the Stratocaster, that thing was something like going from a VW to a Testarossa. Then I wanted to put another in the same cabinet, speaker. And Leo went crazy. He goes, I'm going to have to change the ohms on the output transformer, and oh my God, what are we going to do? And you know what he did? He went back to the drawing board and he made the first 100-watt output transformer, peaking 180 watts, and that was made by Triad. And that was the Dick Dale transformer, they called it. And we put 2 speakers in the same cabinet, and that was called the Dougal Showman, only because it was 2 speakers. It was cream-colored because every time I blew up an amp, they had to make another chassis really quick. And so they ran out of covering. And the night I needed the amplifier, he found some cream Tolex covering, and he put it on it. And he said, don't let anybody see it. Hide it behind the speaker. Don't let anybody see it because it's very impractical, the color. They'll put coffee stains and cigarette burns. And they goes, oh, but I love it, Leo. I love it. All right. The next week, called me in, and there was his whole assembly line. It was all the cream Tolex, about dual Showmans and Showman amplifiers. And that's how they came to be. Now, to this day, I'm playing through the same output transformers. When Leo, before he died, he gave me 7 of them. And then what happened, Triad burnt down, and they lost the paperwork on them. And Leo never continued, even though he sold Fender to CBS. And anyhow, I'm still using the same output transformers, the same speakers, same everything. And when we get on that stage, they say I'm louder than Motorhead.
Well, that gear stood the test of time. That's a lot of hours of music. I want to ask you a question about Miserlou. In addition to your aggressive guitar work, there's also a prominent horn part, a distinctive piano arpeggio, and even a harp. Did you track all those instruments at the same time, or were some of those elements overdubbed?
There's no harp in Miserlou.
Okay, well, that's interesting because it sounds like one.
I know. and what it is it's me playing it over 100 times, over and over and over, because the guy that on the board in those days, we couldn't. It was very difficult to overdub.
Yeah.
So what we did was we were taking it all in one shot. As time went on, my dad, he wanted to make it for the older people, so he had them add violins in it. But the song Mizzaloo, to begin with, the trumpet part, I play trumpet.
Yeah.
So and I couldn't, we couldn't do an overdub. So what happened was, I showed my best friend. He was a dear friend of the family, Tommy Stevens. He's passed on now, and Tommy played trumpet in big band style. And I loved Harry James, and I love Ray Anthony, but I love Harry James because he made a trumpet sing and cry.
Yeah, I agree.
He did a lot of slurring, where he would go, instead of going da-da, he would go da, like that. So I learned to play trumpet that way, and I also learned to do mariachi on the trumpet because I love the Latino sound. And then I also learned to play like Louis Armstrong, because I used to sing Louis Armstrong sounds and sound just like him, as the audience said. And so I showed Tommy, this is what I want. I want it note for note, the same way. We played together over and over. So at Mizzaloo, that was Tommy Stevens, and on the trumpet. But on the keyboard, it was one of the guys in the studio, and I didn't know his name.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a studio like you know and like I know. It was a hallway that was only about 5 feet wide and about 30 feet long. And the mixing board was all the way down the end, and I was down the other end. And so it gave that hollow sound almost to the guitar.
Well, let's go ahead and check that out. It's about time for some music. From 1962, here's Dick Dale with his signature track, Mizzaloo.
That Mizzaloo was played very, very slow originally for the belly dancers, for the Arabic belly dancers.
Yeah.
And it's done with the beat of the Egyptian beat. The beat is and they would come out belly dancing, doing the belly dancers. And the song was played on an oud. My uncle played it on an oud with a turkey quill. And it would go like this. It would go Down the down the down 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 the down the down 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 the down the down the down. That's the rhythm. And when a kid asked me, man, you play the guitar so neat, you strum so neat and everything, can you play on a single string? And all I could play was this boogie woogie that I learned from the beginning, went dun da 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 dun, like that. It's the left hand on the piano. Dun da 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 dun. It's the boogie woogie style. Well, I didn't know what to tell him. I says, well, come back tomorrow night and I'll play something for you. He was only about 9 years old. And so I says, oh, shit, now they're going to find out I don't know how to play the guitar. And so I thought of something, and I thought about Mizzaloo. And, everybody goes, it's a Greek folk song. Well, let me explain something. The title of that song, Mizzaloo, it means the Egyptian.
Right.
And it's an Arabic love song. Wayno Habibi, Akfain. Where are you, my sweetheart, my sweetheart? Where are you? All the Egyptian belly dancers did that. So when I tried to play it slow, I goes, well, you know what? It doesn't sound that exciting. Mm-hmm. So, make the kid tap his foot. So I went and took the Gene Krupa beat. So I went like that. That's how that came to be.
Yeah, it's a good thing he asked you that question.
Yeah.